Abhinaya is the art of expression that employs facial language, gestural language, and body language to communicate the music, lyrics, and story to the audience. This video will use an Ashtapathi Sakhi He to illustrate techniques in Abhinaya. This piece has 4 sections of Abhinaya, and we shall start by first learning in the seated position. Once students have mastered the piece in the seated position, they can be introduced to movements and whole body language. The introductory section in this piece does not have supportive lyrics, and the primary goal is to set the mood for the piece to follow, both for the dancer and for the audience. In this section, the heroine of the piece, Radha, has just returned from her very first rendezvous with Krishna, the hero. While she's seated, thinking of the first flushes of that meeting, she finds her hands writing his name almost as though they were moving by their own volition. Her confidant and friend, her Sakhi, arrives at that moment, and while she covers the writing at first, she's only too eager to share her feelings of love with her friend.
Sakhi He, Sakhi He, Sakhi
Pallavi. Now that we have set up the character of Radha, let us consider the first 2 lines of the poetry as conceived by Jayadeva, a 12th century poet who is renowned for his Ashtapathi, which contain passages that describe the interactions between Radha and Krishna. Please be aware that these poems were set in a different time where society had different standards of behavior and conduct. The Pallavi goes like this. While these 2 lines are repeated many times over, I'd like to approach this sequence almost as if the Abhinaya was creating tracks of dance. Each successive iteration of this same line should bring some element of expression as though a new track of music has been added to a bass melody. Let us see how this is developed. O friend, the slayer of the demon Kesi, namely Krishna, is most bountiful. This is the state of mine, longing to be with him, he who is the embodiment of everything I imagined and visualized. O friend, Krishna, the slayer of demon Kesi, is so generous. In this very first line that Radha speaks, there is a sense of sharing something very intimate with her friend and continuing to explore what that recent meeting with Krishna meant to her. Additional tracks are layers that come out of that exploration and discovery of Radha's own thoughts of the meeting. Listen to me, dear friend. Listen. He, my very own Krishna, is immensely giving and generous. Here there is a sense of belonging that she experiences when she speaks about him and feels his presence intensely. He has helped me and others in so many ways that I cannot enumerate it. The sense of belonging that Radha feels for Krishna reaches a place of him being hers alone, and she narrates this with a quiet sense of pride. My thoughts of intimacy as I conceived them in this state of love were all brought to life in his presence, exactly as I imagined them. The second line has a sense of openness in the narration, as only one can to a really close confidant. In many of these lines, Radha's sense of Krishna's presence is shown as though she can really see him in front of her. This is a technique that is used to transport the audience to the same feel that Radha had. My every whim, wish, fantasy, he is aware of it all. Radha confides that Krishna knows her as intimately as she knows him. No other man can stand up to Krishna. Radha is filled with a sense of completeness when she is with Krishna that no other man can match. In the second line, the incomparable quality of Krishna is innately apparent to her as she sets eyes on him, which continues in the next two lines in what appears to be a physical description of Krishna, again with the idea of translating the presence of Krishna to the audience.
Sakhi He, Sakhi He, Sakhi He, केशी मदन मुदारं सखी हे केशी मदन मुदारं सखी हे केशी मदन मुदारं रमय मया सह मदन मनोरथ भावितया सविकारं सखी हे केशी मदन मुदारं रमय मया सह मदन मनोरथ भावितया सविकारं सखी हे केशी मदन मुदारं रमय मया सह मदन मनोरथ भावितया सविकारं सखी हे सखी हे
Anupallavi. Into the enclosed garden I went at night when Krishna stood concealed behind a tree. Radha is finally revealing the details of the meeting, her vulnerability as contrasted by Krishna's assurance and confidence is introduced in this first line. On that appointed day, I went to meet him, covering my face with a veil, stepping out of my threshold. Unable to see him anywhere, startled by the sounds of the night, I looked anxiously for him, while he remained amused and hidden. Radha has never stepped out of her home in this manner, that too at night, and this makes her very vulnerable with the unknown sounds of the dark. The visual created of this beautiful woman, apprehensive and awaiting the hero anxiously while her lover conceals himself, creates a mounting anticipation in the narrative. Plucking a flower, Krishna tosses it on Radha playfully. She says, "As it dropped on me, I startled, and at that moment Krishna revealed himself, inviting me into his presence full of love." Krishna's intent is to prolong the first meeting, and that sweetness, that uncertainty finds an escalation in this part, where he finally reveals himself to her. Sakhi, my friend, such was my meeting with him, and my heart has not left that moment since.
Nrtta nikunja griham गतया निशिरहसि निलीयवसन्तुं निभृत निकुञ्च गृहं गतया निशिरहसि निलीयवसन्तुं चकित विलोकित सकलदिशादिशि रभसर सेन हसन्तुं चकित विलोकित सकलदिशादिशि रभसर सेन हसन्तुं सखी है सखी है सखी है
Charanam. At that first instance, while I was uncertain and shy, he had me mesmerized by his sweet conversations, drawing my heart to him. The hesitancy in Radha to open up and the affirming and gentle manner of speaking that Krishna uses to draw her close are the highlights of this section. Sitting close to Krishna, uncertain and shy, as I drew closer to him, drawing me close, he showered me with sweet nothings. As our eyes interlocked, this moment of togetherness blossomed forward. Each movement of Radha, be it the simple act of sitting next to Krishna, feels amplified in his presence, while he remains secure in his love as he enjoys her beauty, and in this manner that night blossomed in their union. Sakhi, my friend, I have lost myself to that night, and I yearn for the moment when I can be rejoined by him.
प्रथम समागम लज्जितया पटु चाटु शतैरनुकूलम् प्रथम समागम लज्जितया पटु चाटु शतैरनुकूलम् मृदु मधुरस्मित भाषितया शिथिलीकृत जघन दुकूलम् मृदु मधुरस्मित भाषितया शिथिलीकृत जघन दुकूलम् सखी हे केशी मदन मुदारं रमय मया सह मदन मनोरथ भावितया सविकारं सखी हे सखी हे सखी हे